The letter he never opened. The rain had not stopped for 3 days. Cold drops kept hitting the broken windows of the old house standing at the edge of the town. Inside that silent house, a man named Daniel sat alone near a wooden table, staring at a dusty letter that had remained unopened for almost 15 years. The envelope was old now, faded by time, its corners torn, but the handwriting on it was still clear. It was written by his mother. Daniel touched the letter softly but never opened it. Every night he told himself he would read it tomorrow, and every tomorrow became another year of regret. The truth was simple. He was afraid that the words inside would destroy the little peace he had left in his heart. Outside, thunder echoed across the sky while the lonely ticking clock on the wall reminded him how empty his life had become. People in town knew him as a quiet man who fixed watches and never smiled. No one knew the pain he carried inside him since the day he walked away from his family. Years ago, Daniel was not like this. He was full of dreams, ambition, and pride. He wanted to become rich, successful, and respected. He believed emotions made people weak. His mother, however, was a simple woman who believed love mattered more than money. She worked day and night sewing clothes just to support him after his father died. Her hands were always covered with tiny needle scars, but she never complained. Every morning she woke before sunrise to prepare breakfast for Daniel before he left for school. Even when she was exhausted, she smiled at him like he was the greatest gift life had ever given her. But Daniel never understood her sacrifices. As he grew older, he became ashamed of their poor life. He hated the tiny house, the leaking roof, and the worn-out clothes his mother stitched for him. He wanted a different life, a bigger life. One evening, when Daniel was 21 years old, he received a job offer from a company in another city. It was the opportunity he had always wanted. His mother was happy for him, but deep inside she feared losing the only family she had left. The night before he left, she cooked his favorite meal and sat quietly across from him at the table. She asked softly, "Will you come back to visit me sometimes?" Daniel barely looked at her. "I'm leaving to build my future, Mother. I won't have time to keep returning to this place." Those words shattered her heart, but she hid the pain behind a weak smile. Before sunrise the next morning, Daniel packed his bags and walked toward the bus station. His mother followed him through the rain, carrying an old umbrella that barely protected them. At the station, she handed him a small envelope. "Read this when you feel alone," she whispered. Daniel placed the envelope in his coat pocket without caring what was inside. The bus arrived, and without even turning back properly, he stepped inside. Through the foggy window, he saw his mother standing alone in the rain, waving at him with trembling hands. That was the last time he ever saw her alive. Years passed quickly in the city. Daniel became successful. He earned money, bought expensive suits, lived in a modern apartment, and surrounded himself with people who admired his success. But despite everything, happiness never stayed with him for long. The more successful he became, the emptier he felt inside. Sometimes late at night, he remembered his mother sitting beside the old window sewing clothes under dim light, but he always pushed the memory away. Then one winter evening, he received a phone call from a neighbor back home. His mother had died 3 days earlier. She had been sick for months, but she never told him because she did not want to disturb his work. Daniel stood frozen with the phone in his hand, while silence swallowed the room around him. For the first time in years, he felt truly alone. He returned home for the funeral, but he arrived too late. The grave had already been covered with wet soil. Rain poured heavily as he stood beside the grave, unable to breathe properly. The old neighbor handed him a small box his mother had left behind. Inside it were hundreds of tiny things she had saved through the years. His childhood drawings, his broken watch from school, old photographs, and the same unopened letter she had once given him at the bus station. Daniel stared at it in disbelief. He realized he had carried it all these years without opening it. That night, he stayed alone in the old house. Everything looked smaller than he remembered. The walls were cracked, the roof still leaked during rain, and the silence felt unbearable. He sat beside the same table where his mother once smiled at him every morning. For hours he stared at the letter, but fear stopped him from opening it. Days became months, and months became years. Daniel never married. He never built a family. He spent his life fixing broken watches while his own life remained broken beyond repair. Every single night he wondered what his mother had written in that letter. Sometimes he imagined it was full of disappointment and sadness. Sometimes he feared it contained forgiveness he did not deserve, and so he kept avoiding it. 15 years later, during another cold, rainy night, the loneliness inside him finally became too heavy to carry. His hands trembled as he slowly opened the envelope for the first time. Inside was a single piece of paper written carefully in his mother's soft handwriting. Daniel's eyes filled with tears before he even started reading. The letter said, "My dear son, if you are reading this, it means life has hurt you enough to finally understand what love truly means. I know you think you left me alone, but a mother never feels abandoned by her child. I was always proud of you, even on the days you were ashamed of me. I prayed for your happiness every night. If one day success makes you feel empty, remember this. A house becomes warm because of love, not money. And no matter how far you go in life, there will always be someone waiting for you with open arms. Even if that person only exists now in your memories, do not punish yourself for the mistakes you made. Just become the kind man I always believed you could be. And whenever it rains, know that somewhere beyond this world, my prayers are still falling gently over you." Daniel could no longer hold back his tears. He cried harder than he ever had in his entire life. Years of pride, regret, loneliness, and guilt collapsed inside him all at once. He realized the greatest tragedy of his life was not losing money or opportunities. It was realizing too late how deeply he had been loved. The rain outside continued falling while Daniel sat there holding the letter against his chest like a child searching for comfort. For the first time in 15 years, the old house no longer felt empty. And although his mother was gone, her love had finally found its way back home. And that night, as the rain continued falling outside the old house, Daniel finally understood a painful truth. Success can buy comfort, but it can never replace the love of someone who truly cared for you. Sometimes, the people we ignore today become the memories we cry for tomorrow. So if someone in your life loves you sincerely, value them before it becomes too late, because time never returns, and neither do the people we lose. Thank you so much for watching this emotional story. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more emotional and heart-touching stories. And don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Thanks for full watching video.